Welcome to the O Show, your number one podcast for everything training, mindset, and nutrition. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and it is my goal to help you access the best information around to allow you to kick ass in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Between my own experiences and those of my amazing guests, I'm confident we will do that. So let's strap in and level up your life starting right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to today's episode of the O Show. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and today I have on my friend from Canada, the Canadian Commander, Mathew Park. How are we doing today, Mathew?
Yeah, what do you mean? The name actually is pretty cool, man. The name is awesome.
I just thought of it right before this. I've been trying to think for weeks about what I'm going to call you, and I just thought the Canadian Commander, it's got to be done.
I love it. I love the change. The cooler to the Commander sounds good to me.
So, Matt, people might see me tag you in certain things, but not really know what you do. So talk a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of what you do now with the TRM, the Trainer Revenue Multiplier, that you're part of and you're the main man behind.
You bet. So we help actually personal trainers go from struggling to thriving in their businesses, from the aspect of basically lead generation, systemization, charging their worth, and so forth, and actually get them in a place where they actually can scale and grow and impact at the highest level in their businesses. I've been doing this now for about 18 years. Began as a trainer myself the first 7 years of my career. First 2 years, $100 a month was kind of my average I was earning per month as a personal trainer when I was 19. Making 20K a month as a trainer when I was 24 years old, 6 years later in the business model. But the problem I had was I was the busy personal trainer working 7 days a week, burning myself out. And I realized that was a problem. So from there, I basically had a beverage company, ran a bodybuilding federation, ran a Super League Canada federation, like all these really cool little endeavors I was involved in for about 10 years. But I always came back to coaching. I loved coaching with a passion. The last 7 years I've been doing coaching, business coaching. Actually, I began as a business coach for the first 2 years, hated it, did not enjoy business coaching at all because I didn't enjoy working with corporate individuals. Okay, I love fitness entrepreneurs. And that's where my heart obviously lies. The last 5 years, we've been building TRM for the last three, growing it now where we've trainers all over the world, basically you included, Oren, obviously growing our businesses and just helping serve at the next level, man.
Yeah, perfect, man. Perfect. And it's a quality little setup you've got. And it's something that I jumped into quite recently, I think the last 4 weeks or so. And what I liked about, we had a call and you literally just gave me tons of value. We talked about where I was at with the business, what price I was selling at, what my problems were. And you just sort of talked through it. And then it got like half an hour in and I was sitting having a coffee at the local coffee shop and you're like, right, man, catch you later. And I was like, well, hang on, you didn't pitch me. Like, what are you trying to sell me here? And you're like, nah, man, we're just trying to catch up and create a connection. And I was like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. And then about a month later, we rocked forward with it. So I quite liked your approach because as we were saying before we started, a lot of times people don't give enough value on like a call. They literally just go into selling straight away without delivering anything of value. And personally, I get turned off by that. I'm like, well, I'm less likely to buy from you because you didn't give me anything apart from telling me how you can help me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think right now, the issue, I think as far as trainers are concerned, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because one of the things in my mentality is, I believe, is if you can put people first and that individual first on the aspect, if I'm in your shoes and I want to hear like, get a problem solved or whatever, all of a sudden the gates are open as far as connection, communication, openness to receive value back and forth collectively. And obviously it's where a friendship is born. And I found a lot of my clients end up being friendships, which obviously, we know friendship isn't going to go with clients, but I believe obviously actually is true because when you build a friendship, you create trust. And from there, you can create results and results will create impact. With impact creates more of a, building from there.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. And one thing that I can tell from being in the group is you work with like trainers of different levels and it's all around building this service, which is something that was massive to me because I felt like I got very salesy for a while. And like you said, it meant I had really busy months, loads of sales, like probably record months that I will hit again, but it's going to take me a while to build up to. But the service dropped and I was losing clients. So let's talk about just briefly, what do you think what does service mean to you as a coach, whether it's a business coach now or with the people who you work with in terms of building their product?
Service to me means number one, caring. truly caring about who's in front of you. Number two, the first thing I think about service is I want to make sure I'm building a friendship and I'm adding value to that person. And through that, I always believe when you do that, you actually create trust and relatability. And that creates a relationship at the end of the day. And that to me is a sale, whether it's a friendship that just ends up being a friendship for the next 2 or 3 years, or no sale at all financially. Maybe it's more of a sale when it comes, I know this person over here, you should meet this guy over here. All of a sudden it becomes a connection, right? But to me, it's all about if you can create those connections, because dude, I got sick of selling. I'm like, everyone's freaking trying to hard sell me. I'm like, come on, be real with me on this. Like, build a connect. If you can build a connection, I believe now you separate yourself from the industry as far as being someone different. And that actually makes you more of like a person, likable human being that actually there's not enough actually like when it comes to coaching right now in the industry, because they're all about basically wanting to get whatever I can get, loads more people, but all of a sudden loads of people come into their business, but the quality gets suffered. Yeah. And when quality goes down, clients leave, become unhappy. Service goes down. I think one company actually in our Facebook group was like, hey, you're in this group, and the group isn't like thousands of people, but the group is a group of like people that actually connect in the group, asking questions, delivering value. And to me, that's what service actually is. Yeah,
100%. And how easy do you think it is to get caught in that rut of just pushing for sales? Because obviously you come into this, most people come into a coaching job, and we do have a lot of coaches who listen to this. That's why I try to do business stuff every so often. But like, it's so easy to get caught up with, you start with trying to help people, and then you start making some money, and suddenly you go from $0 to $1,000 a week to 2,000. And then suddenly you just want to push for more and more and more. And like you said, the service can drop then. How easy do you think it is to get stuck in that sort of rut versus, being able to pull yourself back and focus on that service again? Because once you've tasted a certain income, it's like, it's hard to go back, to go backwards, right? We're very goal-driven people.
100%. So here's the thing. I believe in goals, but I also believe that if you can mix goals with flow and impact and service, you're going to reach your goal. Funny thing is, my biggest month in my business, actually my biggest month was the months where I knew my goal, but I detached from the outcome. And I just freaking serve. I was like, serve, add value, serve more, boom, the company, I surpassed the goal. Yeah. Funny as it is, right? So the mind was there, but I went back, I went away from trying to push towards it, and I went into flowing towards it. Yeah. I find most coaches right now in the industry, they're so focused on they're trying to beat the next guy in the social media feed. They're trying to beat their competitor across the street. They want to beat this guy over here. I'm like, quit beating everybody. Just be a better you. Yeah. Beat yourself. If you can improve on yourself, you're beating. You have a healthy competition in front of you of like, improve your numbers, but improve your quality. And I believe when you're building a profitable business in fitness, it's like you can't sacrifice quality with growth. Right? You evolve as you scale, and you evolve like as you reach 20K a month, 30K a month, 40K a month, the business will have to change a little bit as you evolve, but service should not be compromised.
Yeah. And that's massive, mate. If you can grow and scale and, like you said, change how the business looks on the back end, but to your customers, it's still the same. It's still Matt, it's still Oren. We're still just doing everything and providing the same amount of value. Then people will always leave, but if you give the service, they're less likely to leave.
100%, man. 100%.
Nice, man. Nice. And then what about, so imagine let's reference this back to myself. So I wanted to build my recurrence up again. I wanted to focus less on selling people for 90 days for big packages and getting, yes, lots of money in the bank. You get 10 signups, at $1,500, then, it's an extra little good little chunk on top of your recurrence. But then what happens is you go back to the next month and suddenly you're back at the 5K recurrence or whatever that number is, and you've got to build it from scratch again. So I've focused on building that recurrence, and that's the way that I plan to scale, is to grow the monthly rather than grow just the amount of sales every month or put my prices up all the time to try to grow. What's your approach to scaling a business for somebody who maybe is in it, who isn't a beginner, who's been training for say at least a year, has a solid business behind them? What's the first sort of steps that you implement with coaches who work under you to sort of help them scale a bit?
Two things: audit yourself, audit your business. Mm-hmm. So meaning right now, mentally, are you in a spot where you're ready to grow your business? Because some coaches want to be self-employed, they want to make 20, 30K a month, and they're fine. They find the way they are. But they're like, I want to grow, but they don't really want to grow. They're good the way they are. They're making good money. Everything's going well. That's first, audit yourself. Now, the business perspective is if you want to, take a trainer right now making 10 grand a month and want to go to 30 or 40K in the next few months, then you got to be able to hire some team people here, which means, is it a risk? Always is a risk. But if you plan appropriately, the risk is much lower. And if you can leverage people appropriately and have the right number, like mathematically work your numbers out, people are obviously in place properly, you can scale with your coaches. Now you can earn 50K and more and scale, but that also is a mental shift because you go from being the one coach who's like making all this great money, profits are coming in, but now you want to invest into maybe your team a bit more, which profits change a little bit, but 6 months later, all of a sudden their profits are higher now, way higher, because you're scaling appropriately from growth onwards from there on in. So it's more of that transition period where most coaches are scared to do it, but if you can do it, you'll win.
So how would somebody get over that fear? Because like our businesses are our baby, right? That's how we make our money. We're probably scared that if we're making 10K, 20K, whatever that number is, and we start to delegate things out, that something's going to go wrong. Somebody might steal your clients, or somebody might, mess up your social media, and, people leave because of controversial post, or, whatever that is. But how would you get somebody to approach, letting go a little bit of those responsibilities that they don't like to do, but, are maybe holding them back by not having somebody in place to do them?
Well, first you need a process. So you have to write down those things, obviously what you're going to need. Number two is nobody's ever going to be Oren. Never.
Yeah.
Maybe 80% as good as you, if at best, but no one's ever going to be like you. So kind of get over the aspect that no one's ever going to be identical to how you are as a coach. And that's totally okay. So once you understand, kind of get over that hump and build a processes in place to know how coaches actually can work underneath you. Some coaches may stay, some may go. That's just part of business and life. But if you treat them like family, like a team, like you give them a chance to grow and give them a future, many will not leave.
Yeah.
I find most coaches are so stuck in scarcity of like people taking their thing and copying what they do. They never do it. And that people actually do it because they're scared of it. And whatever you're scared of, it actually happens.
Yeah.
But if we operate from a place of abundance and sort of pre-plan, like, okay, your business want to make 100K a month, great. That means you'll need 3 coaches, each book with 30 clients each. But now I got to make sure I coach. Now you move from Oren, the power, one-man coach who's doing amazing in his company, to like less clients, but now you're kind of serving and mentoring your coaches into being even better coaches. So it's like, but you're kind of like leading them to be great. And they want to lead from you because now you're giving them a great opportunity. Yeah,
100%. And then what would be the first things, if say somebody is ready to give up some control, what would be the first things that they should outsource to help them grow? Because personally, like all I've got in place is the financial side, like bookkeeper, accountants. But then what's the next step, obviously, after that, where people, they're not doing the menial, calculations and Excel spreadsheets of their books every month. It's like, what's the next stage after that to then grow their team and go from there, in your opinion?
Well, if you've already got the bookkeeping and those kind of thing, invoicing kind of all taken care of, that's great. I would say you need to systemize before you can throw in people, because systemizing, for example, because as an entrepreneur, when you hire people, if you don't have a process, like for example, how you actually, edit your videos, or how you load social media posts, or how you onboard new clients, or how you communicate with your clients, all this should be in a process document, basically in your system, right? Mm-hmm. Until it's actually done, to hire people is almost a waste yet, because you're gonna almost waste time, like redoing things all over again, just repeating the same thing over and over again. So I would say as right now, as a trainer listening to this podcast, is build some of your things right now to actually allow space for your team to add in. So build your onboarding process, communication process, build renewal process, non-renewal process, build your Facebook group process, like build all these things up, as well as your backend. We call this Office Pipeline Pro and TRM, but your backend, where as leads come in, is it being automated, nurtured, systemized? Where are all your leads being captured? These are things that if you hire a VA, you could do it for you, but it's going to cost you more money. Yeah. But if you get this going now and then hire your team afterwards, now you're building a business that is scalable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's something that we're working on. Obviously, I jumped in with 2 feet whenever you were actually on another podcast I listened to talking about business, because you coach the host, Jeff, who's actually been on the podcast, guys, if you're listening, Jeff Black. And you were talking about this software, and I was like, you know what? I feel like that makes sense. Like, make everything a bit more automated, like everything captured in one spot. So let's talk about building something like that, like, because the one we're talking about, Pipeline Pro, it's a bit of a behemoth of doing everything for you. But once you get that set up, it's like you've got everything in one place. And how important is that?
It's quite important because, as you build from 20 clients, 40 clients, 50 clients and more, and obviously this is a sales and marketing process. So, it's meant for sales and marketing CRM, right? Not for like my company's different than your company, but it's very important if you're trying to add volume to your business, add coaches to your company, right? Generate leads, have lead magnets, have a lead generator, right? Be able to track sales calls. As you build your team right now, if you're still kind of growing your company, it's probably not a big requirement yet, but if you're at that place now where you're trying, right now you want to be able to scale with a team or with an assistant or another coach, now is the time to obviously look at those kind of things to scale. Because if you don't, G Drive is wonderful as a home base to use for now. But if you're trying to level up and like kind of get time back where you can actually have a team involved in one system, we find that obviously is one of the better ones we've ever used, and that's what we recommend to our team. But it's putting everything into play is the most work.
Yeah.
Getting the emails right, the campaigns built, like that's all done. It's easy to talk about it, but to do it is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. And then with that, like, obviously there's so much that as business owners, we probably know we should be doing. And I think we spent pretty much the first call we had where I was at that coffee shop where you were just like, do you do email? I was like, oh, well, I've got 500 emails, but I don't email them. And like, we've got all these things that we probably know we should be doing, but like we just procrastinate on them, or we focus on that one thing, which is great. Like focusing on something like Instagram for most of your leads is great. But if you're not connecting all the dots and you're not, you're collecting these emails, for example, with a giveaway, but you're not actually emailing them, it's holding you back. So let's talk a bit about procrastination. Like, why do we procrastinate on doing these things that we know are probably going to serve us in our business?
Try and be perfect.
Yep.
Perfectionism holds us back. We're trying to compare ourselves, be perfect. Self-doubt creeps in, uncertainty creeps in. That's all that happens, man. All of a sudden, I think the biggest thing is the delay of time. Is we put things off because the longer we put it off, the easier it is to put off.
Yeah.
But if we can get things done even a short period of time, even like half good, now momentum is on our side.
Yeah. 100%. And that momentum, like, it's the speed at which you can grow your business, and speed kills, right? So like, if you can do things faster, you can build that momentum, then that's whenever you're really going to grow your business, right?
100%, dude. Yeah, momentum. And I think team is one of the things I probably learned the most in all my years of business, because in my 20s, I call those years my university years of business, because I had multiple companies I was running and nothing really ever really totally took off for me. They were all doing okay. But the biggest thing I learned was from a mentor who sat down with me. Actually was an investor in our company. He told me, he's like, Matt, he's like, he actually had sold his company for over $500 million and said, Matt, like, when will you start focusing on one thing? I'm like, I am. No, you aren't. You're not, you got 3 companies. You got like your personal training over here. You got this beverage, you got the federation over here, and they're all doing okay. Nothing wrong with it. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I realized it didn't hit me till 5 years later. And I realized, like, when I actually moved to Quebec, began it from square one again, because I sold a couple of things, moved away from a couple of things, and basically was at ground zero again 6 years ago. I was having all this great success, lost it all, and began at ground zero again when I was like 30. And I'm like, I was going to be a millionaire at this time, and I was at zero again. And I was like, what the heck? So it was like, that was a turning point for me. I realized that, Matt, get your shit together. Excuse my French on this. And so I used my 20s as my university, because I was investing time, energy into amazing people, meeting like these rock solid human beings that are big name people, but I wasn't following what I was being taught. And now, different ballgame.
Yep. And then since you focused on just that one thing, which is now TRM, obviously your little baby, like, how has your day changed? How has your focus changed? How has your structure changed? Do you find yourself like now you're on this sole mission of making TRM, you know, the most helpful, best like group coaching program out there. Do you find that that's changed your clarity and your structure with your days?
100%, because I have a meaning to the day now, right? And I think the biggest thing is, I've always wanted more time with my family and more time with, for myself to spend time with them, and also being able to train, take a evening off and go to the hotel and like, hang out and relax. I think it was one thing is that I realized like I'm also a performer and achiever. So part of me is like, I love to go big or go home. But also part of me is also like, I want to also have those experiences along the way where I can have memories with those I love. So I realized that, in my 20s, I was an obsessed workaholic, which is totally cool. But you learn through the moments, you learn through your moments when you go through those moments of challenge or, wake up calls, lose everything kind of moments. And I think that's one thing that I call them entrepreneurial scars. If you haven't gone through being broke once in your life that broke, then you haven't been an entrepreneur yet.
Yeah. Nice, man. Nice. And then something else that kind of drew me to you as a person was that you've got a family, right? You've got 2 kids, you got a beautiful wife, like you just live a nice family-based life. How do you find growing this big business that you've got, coaching other coaches and having that family life as well? How do you find the balance with that? Because that's something that a lot of people who listen will maybe be, either young and thinking about having a family in the next couple of years, but can't really picture how that's going to fit around their business. Or even me, like we've got the second one due end of June and he's going to be 2. And I'm like, shit, how am I going to manage like working from home and doing everything else while still having a newborn plus a toddler? Like it presents challenges, right? How do you personally deal with those challenges?
You literally focus on, okay, so your thing is you won't have a problem because you're an achiever, okay? And I think the biggest thing when I have my second kid, it hit me more on the first kid than the second kid because I'm already used to having a kid. I remember sitting at the bedside of my first kid after the first week. I was actually crying. I was like bawling to my wife. I was like, babe, oh my gosh, like I didn't think I could do this. And I'm like, it's harder than I thought it was. And like, all these things crept up on me. Second kid, I was ready for it because I already had my first kid. So I think you're going to be fine. You're going to crush it, man. The biggest thing is there's no balance. Let's face it, like you're integrating into your life. So I believe that I call them more, as opposed to balance, more of boundaries.
Yeah.
You need boundaries as a dad or a mom. And if you have no boundaries, you're going to be burning yourself on both ends. So that means getting out for a walk half an hour in the day, having dinner with the family at evening at 6 o'clock, whatever it is, like making the time as you book your clients in, you book your family once in a while. And there are nights that I'm working later. That just happens. It's just part of having a business. But if you make the majority of the moments where you got the time there, then it's special moments, right? For example, like hotel night for me, I went there a couple nights ago or a couple of weeks ago. I say, babe, I'm going to go to the hotel this night. I need to refresh my mind. She'll watch the kids. She was like, go, babe, rock and roll. So unplanned, but it was necessary. I think the thing when you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in fitness or whatever you're doing, is we always think we have to be going 110 hours or 110 hours a day, 100 miles an hour all the time. And what that does is it creates this revolving hamster wheel where you become really busy doing nothing.
Yeah. Which that's the thing there as well. Like now you've mentioned that a lot of people think they're busy, but really they're just not being productive. Like, and I'm guilty of this too, right? Like doing check-ins for people, and then in between each one, while the video's uploading or you're waiting to grab a link off a video, you just log in Instagram quickly to see, and then you get drawn in there, or you go in to post something on your story and you forget why you're in, and suddenly you're scrolling or you're replying to messages, and you only went in to post one story of marketing. Like, for example, if I took a screenshot now of this call, I'll go into post it and I might get caught up in replying. I'm like, oh shit, I still haven't posted that thing 10 minutes later, So we can get very caught up in non-productive things and just put it down as, oh, I'm just busy. It takes me 3 hours to do my check-ins, when in reality, it might take you 90 minutes if you just blasted them out. And I find sometimes, like, I try to get stuff done in the morning. Like if we got something on where we've got like a play date with Evie's friends, or, we got to take her to swimming and different things, I find really productive because I'll just say to my wife, like, listen, I'm just going to take a shake and go in here and just blast out work. And when I've got a deadline like that, like, no, I need to leave the house at this time and I want to get 20 check-ins, 15 check-ins, whatever it is done, I'll get it done because the phone doesn't get picked up. But we get caught up in this whole cycle of being busy for the sake of being busy when really we're just not being productive.
100%, Oren. 100%, man.
And like that's its own separate pitfall. But something I wanted to talk about as well, Matt, was like the value of having a coach, because I'm sure I know you've got a coach who
Yeah,
helps
of
you with TRM,
course.
and like the value of somebody having that bird's eye view, right? Because I'm very good at this. I mean, I do like I'm not a business coach like you are. I'm a PT who helps other coaches like build an online business or how to
Sure.
like change their marketing. I'm quite good at looking at people's business from the bird's eye view and being like,
Yeah.
why don't you try this or do that? Or have you thought about maybe this market which might translate in? But sometimes it's very hard to do that on your own business, right? You don't see all the bad things you're doing. Like, for example, our very first call, like it was great, but a lot of what you did was just pick apart what was wrong with my website, what was wrong with my marketing, who should I really go in on my niche, like things which, like, I looked at my website, I thought it was pretty good, but then when we looked at it, there was like these little links which said watch video, which just took you to a video of me like doing a bodybuilding style workout, like a pretty cool video. Like it might draw in like one or two clients who want that style of coaching, but for the most people, it's far more beneficial to have book your call here on the website. And I might have 40, 50 people who land on the website organically every month, and they're not being told where to go next. So now that I've got to book the call, it's going to be interesting to see that. But if I hadn't had a coach who actually dug into the website, which you're the first coach who's ever actually looked at my website and broke it down like that, I would never have known that I'm potentially leaking a lot of leads from that. So how important is that sort of bird's eye view from somebody else looking down on your business?
You know what's funny? It's something that you mentioned about sometimes we know these things we should be doing, but we actually don't do them until we actually have somebody else show us what to do. And it is critical because for 14, 15 years, I've had a coach, different kinds of coaches. I've probably gone through 13, 14 different coaches in the last how many years. I've had Aaron now for just over 2 years. We have a coaching call almost every single week, almost had him for two. You know, the guys invest a ton. Like I put a lot into him. He's actually gonna be part of our lead program starting in two days. But the thing is, I believe in the relationship first, man. And if I feel the connection, I'm with it for the long haul because I know that that person believes in what we're doing. He's got the know. He's been there, done that. You know, he's gone through things in his life as well. But he also has a roaring company himself, like the
Yeah.
company, you know, six-figure business. So, and a lot of connections. So when it comes to coach, I think that, you know, people go to you, Warren, because they want to change, they want to transform their bodies. And if they go on their own, they're probably going to not get good results. Probably okay. They go to Warren, they're going to get massively transformed. That's what a coach does.
Yep.
You know, business is the exact same way. You want to go to relationship, like people want to go to coach for relationship. That's great. Like didn't do that, right? But I think everybody who's looking to grow and excel needs either a mentor or a coach to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly, and you can't see the flaws that are in your business until somebody picks it apart. And it might be the silliest little thing, like a link on your website, but like if that's maybe 40 potential leads that I'm losing, I might get 5 of them to book a call, and I might be able to convert 2 to 3, maybe 4, maybe all 5 of them people could become clients every month just by changing that little thing. So I think
Well,
it's invaluable.
here's something funny, man. I had a coaching call with a girl. It was actually yesterday. She actually is a big Contest Club coach, and this is how funny that small leagues can make a big difference. She has a link on her Instagram bio that took them to like this big form that basically they were going to fill out, right? So I should go through all the forms myself to make sure that I actually can go through and see what's going to happen. So I go to her form live on a coaching call, and I'm going with Rachel there, and I'm like, there's like 15 questions, and I'm like, and then she's asking for my front picture. I'm like, you haven't even got my email yet. I'm like, I'm not going to give you all these pictures. Because when
Yeah,
my last coach asked, I'm like, well, your last coach was wrong. I'm like, you don't ask for all this data before you even got my information yet. And that was
yeah,
to get a lead. So like, you know, when it comes to collecting information, one tip for your listeners, Oren, is you know, you want to have multiple steps when getting a lead. But the first step is 4 questions usually is plenty of questions to ask to get things going. Name, email, phone number, what's your fitness goal, submit. The next page, you can ask more if you want to, but more importantly, you've got to get the lead. Your whole goal is to nurture the lead. And most coaches are trying to build these forms, or their link goes to the website that is unoptimized, or goes to this YouTube channel that makes no sense, or
mhm.
goes to this other thing. Make it simple. Simple is always king.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And with that, like, How important is it to just get those leads? Because we've ran through it on your website, and the first step is when you go to apply, they give you your name and email address before you even ask any questions. And I was like, oh, well, why have you got an extra step here? Why don't you just ask them all in the one form? And it's because you obviously want to qualify them, but you also want to get their details before they even get into any surveys or any calendar bookings or anything else. How important is that to get that email? For example, if they don't fill out your survey on the next page or book a call, what then happens so that then you can, get that lead in just off the name and email address?
It's important because if 10 leads go to your form, let's say, for example, that 7 are probably going to put their email in. When they go to the next step, only probably 3 are going to book a call from you.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers right now with my current funnel. So I'm like, I'll get 10 leads every couple of days. Wonderful. I got 7 emails. I got 3 book calls. Wonderful, right? Now, if I was only asking for a call, I only would get 3 leads as opposed to I would have got 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but all of a sudden, if I look at the numbers of like all these emails I'm collecting, that's why I was asked for email first. Now, you can ask for email and phone number right off the bat, or just I like to go with email first because email is really easy to get,
Yeah.
But then your next phase, you can ask for the questions and the phone number. But phone number to me, and what the numbers actually show this, guys, is that there is 68% better conversion when you have a phone number than an email address now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously Pipeline Pro does that where they can send text messages as well. But for somebody who doesn't have that, would you recommend they just phone the client, give them a text message as well as the initial emails, just to say, listen, I've received your application, I'm going to send you through some things? Where would you approach that if you don't have it built into a software like you do?
100%. You can get their information through a Jot form, a free software, Jot form, click the email, phone number, what's your fitness goal. From there, you can give them a manual text. Like, hey, Matt, great to have, great, your system obviously is filled out. Let's connect over a call. How's tomorrow at 2:00 for you? Boom.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. For sure. It can be manual if you want to.
Yeah, yeah. And then it gives you that extra point of contact, right? Some people might prefer the text and they'll be like, oh, can we just chat on here? And then, you end up doing that and booking a call through there, or maybe sending the calendar link through there rather than the email sequence. Because let's face it, some people just like calls, some people like text, some people might not really. We get so many emails, right, and so many lists that some people might just become a bit immune to your autoresponders. But if you've got the text details there as well, then you can, create that personal thing. And it's different how many people actually get a follow-up text from, a coach or any sort of business, right?
That is so true, man. 100%. It's a big deal.
Yeah, 100%, man. So we've been on, I'm aware it's nearly dinner time where you are there. So I wanted to talk a bit more about TRM and what you guys have going, because it's a great program and there's different levels depending on where people are at. Some people are on this call might be new trainers starting out. Some people might be like myself and established, but want, that bird's eye view that somebody can provide. So what do you offer within TRM, and how can people get in touch then?
You bet. So we actually have 5 different pillars. We actually have different levels depending where you're at in your business. So our first level is called TRM Kickstart. It's more for the beginners and basically in their business right now as trainers. Our next level obviously is TRM 10K, where it's more of trainers making between 5 and 6K a month in their businesses, and they want to get over 10, 12, 15K a month in their business over the next 3 months or less. And then we have TRM Elite, which actually is for our 10K a month plusers who want to scale to 20, 30, 40K a month and more. And then we have TRM Platinum, which actually is more of a community-based learning platform that we use every week to more so share learnings, teachings, questions, that kind of thing as well too. And our 5th pillar actually is coaching, individual coaching for like the individual support. So easy for me, guys. If you guys want to talk to me, guys, just book a call with me. It's basically meetmathewpark.com with 1 T. Simple as that.
Nice. And then they'll get that 30-minute call where they get the crazy smile the whole way through, man, where you don't stop smiling on a call. You just bring the positive energy. And like I said, you just tried to provide the value on that first call so people can get incredible service on that first call without really being hard sold to, which again is a massive turn off for me as a businessman. So I think I would encourage people to reach out for a call if they've liked what you said. Like me, I worked with you because I heard you on a podcast, liked what you said, and was like, let's talk to this guy, see what he's about. So I encourage everyone to hit you up, Matt. And what about Instagram? How do people find you on there?
Mindset_Matt with 2 T's.
Mindset_Matt with 2 T's. And you've got is it Trainer Revenue Multiplier, all one word for the TRM one?
It's yes, exactly. Trainer Revenue Multiplier is exactly the Instagram for TRM. You bet.
Yeah, perfect, mate. So, I think there's lots in this. I've really enjoyed chatting this and like just having a different approach. I also think you're the first Canadian to come on here. So
I feel privileged.
Yeah,
well, I'm the Canadian commander. I'm talking to the Irish inspiration.
There we go, mate. That's it.
So now I feel like I'm all injected with some positivity now for the day, you know?
That's it, mate. That's it. And it's 5 a.m. here, and as soon as I got on the call, I said, mate, I don't even need the coffee now that we're we're in here. I was like, listen, this is gonna be fun, just chatting, and mate, it's been awesome working with you, and I think it's like you said, it's been valuable so far. So like, hopefully people get a lot out of this. I think they will. Guys, if you've enjoyed this, please screenshot, tag me, like, because we're gonna post business stuff every. Probably I'm
actually going to take a screenshot
weeks.
right now as you're doing this, actually. So I'm going to share it for you on my Instagram, pal.
Oh, awesome! There we go, getting the shout out.
You got those pearly Irish whites. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, you must have charcoal on your toothbrush, eh? Whatever you do there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's those big infectious smiles, mate. Right?
That's freaking awesome.
So we're taking screenshots, guys, as we're doing the podcast here. I'm going to take a screenshot of Matt taking a screenshot. So there we go.
I got the Irish inspiration with his nice pearly whites from Australia there. Look at that, eh? The O Show, guys. Go follow this guy.
So, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you like this business stuff, we're going to try to hit with every 4 to 6 weeks a different sort of approach, because there's a lot of coaches out there who are struggling. So Matt, obviously based in Canada, the first Canadian guest. Thank you for your time, buddy. I know it's nearly dinner time and you normally spend that time around family. So go off and enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will connect next week when we speak for our call, obviously.
Looking forward to it, pal. Always a pleasure, man. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of The O Show. If you know somebody who needs to hear this episode today, please share this with them via message or on social media. Don't forget to also take a screenshot and share it on your story and tag me at Oren McCarry so we can continue to grow the podcast and help more people change their lives with the advice given here. Also, keep the 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes, as that helps people who normally wouldn't listen to the show find it and get the O Show in their ears and drive the podcast forward to help more people around the world with the advice here. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.